Hello, juniors. Back to Farmer Boy. I'm just enjoying this. I hope y'all are. I believe you are. Even the seniors. That's all right. We like these stories too. They're good stories. Okay, this is called Keeping House. Let me make sure I'm at the right... Yep, at the right place. Uncle Andrew lived 10 miles away. For a week, Mother and Father were getting ready to go, and all the time they were thinking of things that must be done while they were away. Remember, they were going to leave the kids while they went away for a week. Even when Mother was climbing into the buggy, she was talking. How mothers do. Be sure to gather the eggs every night, she said, and I depend on you, Eliza Jane, to take care of the churning. Don't salt the butter too much. Pack it in the small tub and be sure you cover it. Remember not to pick the beans and peas I'm saving for seed. Now you all be good while we're gone. She was tucking her hoops down between the seat and the dashboard. Father spread the lap robe. And mind, Eliza Jane, be careful of fires and don't you leave the house while there's a fire in the cook stove, and don't get to scuffling with lighted candles, whatever you do. And Father tightened the reins and the horses started. Don't eat all the sugar, Mother called back. The buggy turned into the road. The horses began to trot, rapidly taking Father and Mother away. In a little while, the sound of the buggy wheels ceased. Mother and Father were gone. Nobody said anything. Even Eliza Jane looked a little scared. The house and the barns and the field seemed very big and empty. For a whole week, Father and Mother would be 10 miles away. That doesn't sound like long, but when you have to go by horse, it's a pretty good ways. Suddenly, Almanzo threw his hat into the air and yelled. Alice hugged herself and cried, "What'll we do first?" They could do anything they liked. There was nobody to stop them. "We'll do the dishes and make the bed," Eliza Jane said, bossy. "Let's make ice cream," Royal shouted. Eliza Jane loved ice cream. She hesitated and said, "Well..." Almanzo ran after Royal to the ice house. They dug a block of ice out of the sawdust and put it in a grain sack. They laid the sack on the back porch and pounded it with hatchets till the ice was crushed. Alice came out to watch them while she whipped egg whites on a platter. Don't make my ice cream with eggs. She whipped egg whites on the platter. She beat them with a fork till they were too stiff to slip when she tilted the platter. Eliza Jane measured milk and cream and dipped up sugar from the barrel in the pantry. Remember, I'm supposed to be eating much sugar. It was not common maple sugar, but white sugar bought from the store. Mother used it only when company came. Eliza Jane dipped 6 cupfuls, and she smoothed the sugar that was left. You could hardly have missed any. She made a big milk pail full of yellow custard. They set the pail in a tub and packed the snowy crushed ice around it with salt, and they covered it all with a blanket. Every few minutes, they took off the blanket, uncovered the pail, and stirred the freezing ice cream. We used to have those old crank ice cream makers. And we used to fight as kids. We'd always have a whole bunch of people, all Mama's side of the family, out here under the big oak tree or at different grandma's, different places. And we kids would fight over who got to sit on the ice cream churn or who got to churn it. Good memories. When it was frozen, Alice brought saucers and spoons, and Almanzo brought out a cake and the butcher knife. He cut enormous pieces of cake while Eliza Jane heaped the saucers. They could eat all the ice cream and cake they wanted to. No one would stop them. I have a feeling there's going to be some belly aches. At noon, oh my goodness, it's lunchtime. They had eaten the whole cake and almost all the ice cream. Eliza Jane said it was time to get dinner, but the others didn't want any dinner. Almanzo said, "All I want is a watermelon." Alice jumped up. "Goody, let's go get one." Alice, Eliza Jane cried, "You come right back here and do the breakfast dishes." They going wild. "I will," Alice called out. "When I come back." Alice and Almanzo went into the hot melon field where the melons lay round above their wilting flat leaves. Almanzo snapped his finger against the green rinds and listened. When a melon sounded ripe, it was ripe, and when it sounded green, it was green. I've never been able to tell. But when Almanzo said a melon sounded ripe, Alice thought it sounded green. There wasn't really any way to know, though Almanzo was sure he knew more about melons than any girl. So in the end, they picked 6 of the biggest melons, and they lugged them one by one to the ice house and put them on the damp, cold sawdust. Then Alice went to the house to do the dishes. Almanzo said he wasn't going to do anything. Maybe he'd go swimming. But as soon as Alice was out of sight, he skipped through the barns and stole into the pasture, where the colts were. The pasture was big, the sun was very hot, the air shimmered and wavered with heat. Little insects made a shrill sound. Bess and Beauty were lying down in the shade of a tree, and their little colts stood near them, waggling their small bushy tails and straddling a little on their long gangly legs. Excuse me. I better test this. I don't know if y'all can hear me or not, because I had a call. I better stop and see if this works. I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of a chapter. But I'm afraid, since I had that call that I forgot about, it's my brother, that y'all are just seeing my mouth move. In which case, I'll have to redo it. Be sweet, don't be ugly, just in case this works.